What's up, guys? On this week's show, Spenser does your taxes, and Uncharted is cinematic poison? All that and more on this episode of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared, and no one is with me. All by myself. I'm gonna be all by my... Okay, sorry. Unfortunately, DJ Melly Mel was down with the sickness. That wasn't meant to be a pun. Don't do that. So, I'm gonna be solo dolo tonight, but hopefully... just me will be enough for you, and you will still have a good time. But before we get started, I want to let you know, if you enjoy the show, tell some friends about us. Share us on your social media. Whatever you choose to do, just know that you're helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they probably never heard of. Now, if you want to talk to us, the show is on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can get a hold of our resident DJ Melly Mel at Froggy Beaver. Now, normally this would be the part where I would say to Mel, what you been doing in some sort of way. But since I'm talking to myself, I will just tell you what I've been doing. This is weird. Okay, so this week I am still on vacation. I know, be jealous. I have been pretty much maxing and relaxing. I'm back in my routine. I'm going to the gym again. I've got my diet back right. All the horrible baked goods during the holiday season have kind of started to go away, so I'm not tempted as much anymore. Yeah, it's been a good time. Been streaming quite a bit. As usual, go check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mike C Squared. Jeez, I'll get it out eventually. I played Goat Simulator for the first time today, and it was so fun. Oh my god. Like, if you don't know about the game, just look it up on YouTube. Like, it's hard to explain. You're just a goat, and you just cause havoc. It's like, the best way for me to describe it would be like, think about Grand Theft Auto, but you're a goat. This is like the best way I can explain it. You don't get like weapons and shit, at least not yet. At least not that I've seen. I mean, there's been some crazy stuff so far, but I mean, you just go pretty much just terrorize people and destroy stuff. It's fun. I mean, there's like ragdoll physics and all kind of little, upgrades and stuff you can do. You can become a giraffe or a whale, and there's all kind of just weird, crazy stuff. It's really fun, though. So if you haven't checked out Ghost Simulator, I mean, it's an old game. It's like 6 years old, but go check it out. Or come watch me play it on Twitch. Just as good. You can live vicariously through me. And the other thing is I am getting close to being completely caught up with My Hero Academia. And I need your guys' help. I need an anime to watch. I need something that I have not seen before that is low on filler and not extremely long. Like don't try and get me started on fucking One Piece or some shit. Like, I'm not even gonna bother trying to start that. That's way too much content for me to even try and start at the beginning of. But I like things like I watched Dragon Ball Z growing up. I like Death Note. I like Full Metal Panic, Hunter x Hunter, Inuyasha, just all kinds of things. I like comedy ones. I like romantic ones. If it has something else to it more than just that, like if it's just a straight up like romance, like weeboo shit, like I'm good. But yeah, just I need something new. I've been deprived, and I'm trying to, get something in my life. I got a couple potentials, but for you guys, please hit me up on Twitter, leave it in the comments of however you're listening or watching this, and just give me a suggestion. I just need something to tide me over, at least. All right, with that, we're going to move on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Master. I won't be able to participate this week either. Yeah, I think I might have eaten something bad. Maybe it's a stomach virus.
I wanted to do something a little bit different this week. We don't normally talk about like celebrity birthdays and things like that, but there was one that came up that I was surprised at the actor's age, and I just wanted to talk about it real quick. So on January 17th, James Earl Jones turned 89 years old. I did not know he was that old. I mean, I figured he was in his 70s, 80s, maybe. 89 though? No, I didn't know. The actor is best known for his roles as the voice of Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies and of Mufasa in The Lion King. He is also known as his role in Coming to America as King Jafar. I love James Earl Jones in general, but I love Coming to America, and I think he's great in that movie. Mr. Jones has had an long and very impressive career, actually. Not only was he in movies, but he did, obviously, voice acting. He's had many appearances on television shows. He's been on Broadway and other off-Broadway shows a lot. We will be seeing him again coming up to reprise his role as King Jafar and Coming to America in December. And no, I did not say that wrong. It is Coming the number 2 America. I'm already worried. All right. And on a less celebratory note, I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock for the last few days, you probably know about this, but on January 26th, NBA legend Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter died in a helicopter crash with 7 other people. The helicopter went down in Southern California, and investigations are still ongoing, but it is believed the crash was caused due to poor visibility from the weather conditions. From what we understand, it was really foggy that day, and there was really poor visibility, and air traffic control was trying to guide the helicopter to the runway, but there was complications. He thought that he was going to try and use the expressway as visual aids to try and guide him to the airport because the fog was so thick, and he thought he saw the expressway that he needed to follow, but it actually wasn't, and it was obstructed because of the fog, and yeah, but investigations are still ongoing, so we don't have a definitive answer yet, but that is right now the working theory of what happened. Kobe was drafted into the NBA right out of high school. During his 20-season career, he won 5 NBA championships. Bryant was an 18-time All-Star, 15-time member of the All-NBA team, 12-time member of the All-Defensive team, and the 2008 NBA Most Valuable Player. Kobe led the NBA in scoring during 2 seasons, ranks 4th on the league's all-time regular season scoring, and ranks 4th on the all-time postseason scoring list. He has been widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Bryant retired from basketball in 2016 and has since gone on to start and be a part of numerous organizations that help inner-city children. Kobe Bryant passed away at 41 years old. Just a quick personal note, I was never that big of a fan of Kobe when he played. I grew up watching Michael Jordan play ball, and that has been, you know, he's been the GOAT in my eyes ever since, and nobody will ever, you know, replace him as that. But I respected Kobe's hustle. I respected his love for the game, and I respected him as a tactician on the court, because that man could ball. You know, he was not without his controversies. I mean, he had the rape allegations against him in the early 2000s, which the case was dismissed because the witness didn't want to testify, but he did settle out of court in a civil suit afterwards. You know, my condolences and prayers go to his family and friends and his fans. I mean, it was amazing to me just how much people really loved and cared about him, and how upsetting it was to a lot of people when he passed. So he obviously left an impression on people beyond just what he did on the court. He left an impression with them for a lifetime, and that's, you know, something that he will always be remembered by. Nothing that will diminish with time. Like, his legacy will live on, and he will always be remembered and respected for his contributions to the game and how he inspired so many other young people to chase their dreams, whether it's basketball or anything else. Okay, so dry your eyes, kids. We're going to move on. When you're solo, it's a little bit more difficult to do this whole podcasting thing, because usually I have someone to, talk back and forth with and bounce ideas off of and, make jokes and play off of the energy in the room. Well, I'm sitting at my desk staring at a black monitor and and looking at my notes. So other than that, yeah, this is what you're going to get. Sorry. But I did find a little bit of fun news. Well, funny to me. I don't necessarily know if everybody will agree with me that it's fun, but I found it humorous at least, because like they just won't give up on this thing. So unless, you are just like very hands-off, with video games, or don't follow video game news or anything like that, then you may not know about this. But most people in the video gaming circles are probably aware of the fact that they have been trying to make an Uncharted movie since 2008. So, the last 12 years? Yeah, now, supposedly we will be getting one this year, but we'll see what happens. So I'm getting this from Games Radar. Sony Pictures has confirmed it's once again delaying the release of the live-action Uncharted film. This time the release has slipped to March 5th of 2021, a further 3-month delay for a movie that's been in development off and on since 2008. As Deadline reports, the production was struggling to keep its December 18th, 2020 window after recently losing its most recent director. Sony's Uncharted movie has been in the works since 2008. However, director Travis Knight, the sixth attached to the project in 12 years, was forced to pull out due to a conflict with leading man Tom Holland's schedule on Spider-Man. It still isn't confirmed who will helm the project next, but the new director will be the seventh to take on the movie and steer the new story that will seemingly not be a direct adaptation of the game series. It's probably best not to get too attached to any cast, crew, or story ideas we see floating around about for now, but at the time of writing, the Uncharted movie will center around a young Drake, Tom Holland, and Sully, Mark Wahlberg, in a timeline set before the events of the first Uncharted game. Now, just to give you my quick thoughts on this, I really enjoy the Uncharted games. I think that they might be slightly overrated, but I do really enjoy them, and I do enjoy a lot of the stuff that Naughty Dog has put out over the years. I like Tom Holland as an actor. I love him as Spider-Man. I don't see him as Drake, but I need to see him in the role. I mean, because Drake is a very fast-talking, sharp-witted, cocky, kind of assholey character. I mean, Nathan Fillion would have been a perfect fit for him, but I get that time has kind of passed. Nathan Fillion's older. They're trying to, make a franchise out of this, and they're not going to, put his 40-some-odd-year-old self, in the movie, and then, 2 years down the road when they're making the sequel, it's like you're looking a little bit more rough. So, and no disrespect to Nathan Fillion, loved man, you have my heart, but I'm just saying. So I get them skewing younger, so then that way it gives you more time to make more films and build up the franchise and yada, yada, yada. Like, I get that, but I just looking at Tom Holland, I don't see him as Nathan Drake. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with Mark Wahlberg and picking him to play Sonny. Like, that is, oh man, like, that is just a slap in the face right there. Like, I'll deal with it. Like, I mean, Sully's, he's a supporting character. I like him. He is important to the main story. Don't get me wrong, he's not just a throwaway character, but I can accept Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake more than I can accept Mark Wahlberg playing Sully. There's nothing about Mark Wahlberg in any performance he's ever given in anything that would make me go, yes, I could see why you would want him to be Sully. That's just my own personal opinion, though. I mean, maybe he'll be great at it. Who knows? We ain't even got a trailer for this shit yet. So, hell, for all we know, this may never even get made. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, and the casting choice, yeah, is a little bit, yeah. All right, moving on. So, speaking of Mr. Wahlberg, he has a new movie coming out, and I believe this is going to be his first Netflix film. It is called Spenser Confidential. Like I said, it's coming out on Netflix on March 6th. It's going to have Mark Wahlberg and Winston Duke in it. Now, I'm going to give you a synopsis of the trailer real quick, and then we'll discuss. Spenser, an ex-cop better known for making trouble than solving it, just got out of prison and is leaving Boston for good. But first, he gets roped into helping his old boxing coach and mentor, Henry, with a promising amateur. That's Hawk, a brash, no-nonsense MMA fighter convinced he'll be a tougher opponent than Spenser ever was. When two of Spenser's former colleagues turned up murdered, he recruits Hawk and his foul-mouthed ex-girlfriend, Sissy, to help him investigate and bring the culprits to justice. Okay, where do we begin? So I want to say up front, just watching the trailer on its own, it's fine. Like, I thought there was a few funny lines in it. The action looked like it could be pretty good. I really like Winston Duke as an actor. So far in the two films I've seen him in, he was really good as M'Baku in Black Panther, and he played the dad in Us. I liked him. They were drastic departures from each other, and I thought he did a very good job, still being able to give a fine and convincing performance, but then be so detached from what M'Baku was to what his character was in Us. Like, I was actually impressed at his range as an actor, and I was like, okay. I got my eye on you. I like you. And Mr. Wahlberg is kind of hit or miss for me. I really do like him in The Departed. So he can act when he tries. Like, I think The Departed is probably his best performance in anything he's ever done. He's pretty good in Pain and Gain as well, but I would say his role in The Departed is the best performance he's ever given of his career, hands down. But I mean, if he's not phoning it in, I think this could be okay. But the last time I saw him in something was one of the Transformers movies, and oh god, it was... But that whole movie was terrible, so maybe that's not necessarily his fault. Now, if you don't know, or if this somehow sounds familiar, the name of this movie, it is actually based off a 1980s TV show called Spenser for Hire. And it had Robert Urich and Avery Brooks in it. Now, Urich is mainly famous from like TV roles and SWAT. He was in Vegas, and he hosted National Geographic Explorer for a long time. And I know Avery Brooks as Captain Benjamin Sisko from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Besides that, he was in some other TV shows, and like he did some theater stuff here and there. But I mean, his career, at least from what I could find, didn't span all that wide, surprisingly, because he's a really good actor. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it gave me nostalgia for like the old buddy cop movies, like 48 Hours or Lethal Weapon or Rush Hour or something like that. Like, and not because it's like the white cop and the black guy, and like not one of those. Not like a Die Hard with a Vengeance, where it's like Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis screaming at each other the whole movie. Like, don't get me wrong, I love those movies, and I love the dynamic between the characters, but I don't know, like, I don't know if we still want movies like that anymore. Not like we don't like buddy cop movies, but I'm just worried that because of the political time that we live in right now, that it's going to be all like racially charged and talking about, you know, the differences between them and how he doesn't understand him because he's white and shit like that. And it's like, which that's fine as long as they're not too heavy-handed with it. Like, don't beat me over the head with it. Like, a little sprinkle of it goes a long way. I promise you. I mean, I don't know. Like, Netflix movies with me, like, their shows, at least in my opinion, are much more solid consistently than their movies are. Like, Netflix with their movies, they might have one or two just gems, just really good ones where you're like, wow, like, this is a Netflix movie? Like, holy shit. Like, I would have went to theaters and paid money to see this, but like 80%, maybe even 90% of everything else they do movie-wise is shit. I still haven't had a chance to sit down and watch The Irishman yet. I'm going to try and do it here relatively soon and give you guys a review on that, but yeah, just so I mean, I don't know. Like, we'll see. It's on Netflix, so I mean, it's an easy watch. It comes out in March, so you got a couple of months. But yeah, we'll see what happens though. All right, moving on. I'm disappointed with you, Robert. We had such a good thing going. 11 years. 11 years. I gave you my time, my energy, my heart, and my money. And this is how you repay me. Now, I let Sherlock Holmes go. The first one was pretty decent. Second one, But even that father and son judge and lawyer movie that you did with the guy who plays the consigliere in The Godfather, I can't think of the actor's name right now. And still, and that movie wasn't bad, but you know, still, like, I was like, hey, you want to do other projects? Go ahead, do your thing. But then you decided that you wanted to do Dr. Dolittle, and good Lord, we normally. Well, I don't want to keep saying normally because we've been changing it up lately, but usually we would do a non-spoilers at the front, spoilers at the back, and let you know when we go into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, we won't spoil anything for you. And if you have, you can just listen to the whole thing. This one's going to be slightly spoilery, but it's not to the point where I think it's spoiler filled. So there will be minor spoilers, I guess. So if you don't want to know literally anything about the movie, it's been out for a week or two at this point. So, I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. You've been warned. So don't say I didn't say nothing. At the very beginning of the film, there's this little like animated vignette where they're kind of giving you the backstory of Dolittle, how he came to be a doctor and how he's at this manor with all the animals and stuff. They talk about how he got married to a woman named Lily and they were explorers together and did all this stuff. And she died out to sea a long time ago, and you know, he's pretty much cut himself off from the rest of the world since then, besides the animals. Now, it was like a little animated vignette, and I feel like if the whole film was that little vignette they did at the beginning, that this would have been maybe received a bit better. Now, it's no secret that Dolittle has, last I checked, a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I've said this a million times, but I'm going to say it 1,000,001. The Rotten Tomatoes score is not an indication of how good a movie is. It is not saying that it is 16% good. It is just saying, and the rest of it's bad. You know, all it's saying is that 16% of the people who watched the movie gave it a favorable rating. That's all. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. It's just saying that the majority of people who watched it did not like it. That's all. So, you know, you can disseminate and, you know, do with that information what you will, but just understand that that's how Rotten Tomatoes works. I am gonna not hide the ball with this. I did not hate the movie. when I saw the trailer for it, I was really down on it. Like, if you go back and listen to our trailer reaction to the Dolittle trailer, I was not happy about this. I was like, you stop being Iron Man for this bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. But again, I understand. Though in that trailer reaction, I was wrong. I was wrong about Downey's accent. He's doing a Scottish accent in the movie. When we watched the trailer to it, I swore it was British, but they didn't give a lot of parts with him speaking, though. And so the little bit I did hear, he sounded British to me. But when we actually sat down and watched the movie, I was like, oh, he's Scottish in this. Like, okay. Now, I've never read the Dr. Dolittle books. All I know are from the movies that I've seen as a kid. So, you know, don't crucify me because I don't know the lore of Dolittle. It's, I don't know, like, I don't like when Downey does, that's why I didn't really too much care for the Sherlock Holmes movies. I don't like when he tries to do accents. Like, not that they're bad, but it feels like he just puts them on too thick, and it feels like a caricature of the person that he's trying to, of the accent that he's trying to do. And I felt the same way with this. Like, I never bought that he was Scottish. Like, even if I didn't know who Robert Downey Jr. was and had never seen him in anything in my life, I think I would have still picked up on, like, that guy isn't Scottish in real life, is he? Because it was just so cartoony sounding. I don't know. It's just a thing I have with him in accents, I guess. It could just be me. I don't know. Like, and the whole time, because he was doing an accent and because he was laying it on so thick, I really had a hard time understanding what he was saying. So there were a few lines where I'm like, wait, what was that? One more time? Did you say it again? Like, no, we're not going to go. Okay. All right. We're moving on. So yeah, there was a couple moments where I was like, I don't necessarily know what he just said right there, but I'm just going to kind of go and keep pretending like I know what he said there. One of the good things that I will say about this as well is the CG is very well done in this. Now, not quite, but it is kind of close to like the Lion King level of good most of the time. Sometimes it looked a little rough, but for the most part, it was pretty okay. They did a great job assembling an all-star cast to be in this, which is surprising because it's all just voice acting, which, I mean, you know, not that there's anything wrong with voice acting. Like, you know, big actors do voice acting roles all the time, but it was just surprising to me. And they got so many big names to be in this, like Oscar-nominated or Oscar-winning actors to be a talking duck and, you know, like a bear and shit like that. Well, John Cena's the polar bear, so he's not. But still. I don't know, maybe, you know, Downey called in some favors and they figured like, hey, it's an easy paycheck. Like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, it's like, what, they need me to come in the studio for like, you know, a couple hours over the course of 2 or 3 days, knock the lines out, and I can go home. Like, hell yeah. And just sit back and collect royalty checks when this shit goes on Disney+. One of the other things that I enjoyed about this as well was that Dolittle was just an asshole, like, all around. Like, you assume, because of how the movie starts out, that he's just that way with the humans. But no, he's just shitty to the animals, too. Like, there's a scene where he's arguing with his parrot, and she does something he doesn't like, and they're on the ship out at sea, and he just takes her and, like, throws her off the ship. Now, granted, she flies back, and it's just, like, a multitude of other little things, like, gags that happen in the movie where I'm just like, he is not very nice to these animals. I mean, he is still a vet and stuff, but he felt more like House than anything, where he was just bitter and angry at everything. But that's kind of what made his character endearing to me. I was like, you know, I kind of like that he's a dick. Like, I didn't really want him to be a nice guy. Now, one of the things that bothered me throughout the entire film was how they tried to convey him speaking to the animals. Now, what they do in the film is they show a few instances where Dolittle is barking and grunting and whatnot to everyone else, like to the characters in the movie, but to us, the audience, he's speaking normally. So it's not like he's talking to the animals in English and they can understand him and they're barking back to him and he can understand that. No, he's barking to the dog, he's quacking to the duck, and the duck quacks back and they quack back and forth at each other. They don't do that through the whole film. You see a little bit in a couple of scenes, and then it kind of like, you know, zooms in on his mouth and comes back zooms back out, and then he's like just speaking normal English. So that's kind of like a transition to let you know, like, okay, this is what the conversation is, but this is what everyone else is hearing. And I thought that was a interesting way to convey that, but it poses a problem. So remember what I said. Dolittle is not speaking English to the animals. He is speaking to them in their own individual languages, and they're speaking back to him in their, native barking tongue. The problem is that the animals also talk to each other. So am I to assume that the mice can bark? Or can the gorilla chirp? Like, can the duck meow? Like, how are the animals talking to each other? That is the part that kept throwing me off, because I'm like, okay, I get him doing it, even though it doesn't make sense, but I'm like, you're not even going to try to explain why the squirrel can talk to the polar bear. Like, we're just going to be like, whatever, it's normal. All animals can talk to each other. Don't worry about it. Don't question it. But I can't, because I overanalyze everything. and then in this part is really going to bake your noodle. How do the kids know what Dolittle's saying to the animals? Like, when they first come to his home, the boy gives him the squirrel that he shot, and Dolittle tells the animals to set up the OR. And there's a young girl there who is, I don't know if she just works for the royal family or if she's the queen's daughter or whatever, but the queen is sick, and that's why they're there to get Dolittle, to get him to come help her. And she's like, the queen is dying, like, I need you to come. And he's kind of blowing it off. He's like, I don't deal with humans no more. I don't want no part of this. Just leave me alone. But then when he tells the animals to set up the OR room so he can operate on the squirrel that's been shot, the girl gets mad and says that you're not going to operate on a squirrel while the queen's life hangs in the balance. How did she know what he said to them? All he did was bark and grunt or whatever he did to those specific animals, and then they ran off to go do the stuff. She has no idea what, because at first the kid's just like, because he's trying to kick him out, and the kid's like, I have a hurt squirrel. And he's like, well, how did he get hurt? He's like, oh, I shot him accidentally or whatever. And then, he's like listening to him. He breathes in his mouth, gives him some air, and he's like, oh, he's still with us. And then he tells the animals to go set up the OR. Now, you could argue, I assume, that, okay, she, just put two and two together, and she's like, oh, he's going to operate on the animal. But there's other instances where they do that, and they know what is being said to the animals, and I'm like, well, how? Okay. Besides that, there is a dragon at the end of the movie. I'm not going to give you the whole context of what happens with it and how we get to that point, but there's a dragon in the movie, all right? Just believe me, okay? And don't worry about how it happens. But Dolittle talks to the dragon. That really threw me off, because he knows that they exist because of what's in his dead wife's journal. But as far as I know, he's never met a dragon. And I'm pretty sure he's surprised and shocked at it too when he discovers it. So just because he knows that they exist, how does he know how to speak their language just because he was around it for like 30 seconds? Like, they have a whole conversation back and forth. It's ridiculous. So that really grinded my gears, because I'm just like, oh, come on, guys. Like, if we're going to take the time to try to explain how this makes sense, we have to follow that logic the whole way through. If not, just don't even bring it up. Just don't even bring it up. The humor in the movie is really childish and silly. Like, it had a certain charm to it in the beginning. I mean, I laughed my ass off at the scene where the gorilla answers the door and they just scream at each other and shit. Like, that cracked me up. Probably because I wasn't expecting that, but still, I thought it was funny. It was stupid and juvenile, but nobody is asking, for these kind of films anymore. So it's like, okay. There's another joke too, where like the duck keeps trying to give him celery every time he asks for like a medical supply. He'll be like, oh, give me forceps, give me tongs, give me this, that, and the other. And she's like, here you go. And he's like, nope, that's celery. It's like, here you go. Nope, that's still celery. He's like, nope, that's a big piece of celery, but that's not what I wanted. And like, I thought that joke was kind of funny. And it's a reoccurring joke that they do callbacks to. And there was other little things. They're all very childish, rudimentary jokes, but I expected that. Like, I I had resigned myself to the fact that this was going to be a movie with a tone that felt like those family films from the 90s, like shit like The Parent Trap or Matilda, Hocus Pocus, Free Willy, Air Bud, any of those movies like that. Like, those movies are fine for their time, but like I said, nobody's asking for these kind of movies anymore. So I grew up watching movies like that, so I kind of already knew what to expect, but for a lot of other people, they just weren't happy with that. And I can understand that. Like, I can respect that. Like, I'm not trying to bash anybody's opinion here. I think that the reaction to it is not as deserved as some people may think, but that's just me. It's frustrating in parts too, because they do this thing where they keep the audience trying to play this guessing game where it's obvious from the start that the queen's been poisoned. That's why she's sick. But the whole time we're waiting for the rest of the characters to figure that out. And, but we know from like the first 20 minutes in. So it's like Doolittle's like, oh, I'm going to go off and get, a cure or whatever. But they don't explicitly say, like, they're like, oh, she got in contact with the nightshade or whatever. And she's going to die if she doesn't get the cure by the next full moon or something like that. Whatever he said. They never just straight up say she was poisoned until like the end of the movie. And it's like, oh, okay, man. Like, we knew from like the beginning, everybody in that room seemed shady as shit. So it's like, come on, y'all. like who are we keeping this from? So that was a little frustrating, because one of the bright sides of the movie is it's only about an hour and a half long, give or take. And so it moves at a pretty quick clip, but when you know, like, what the whole problem that needs to be resolved by the end of the movie is, like, within the first, like, 10, 15 minutes, then it's like, okay, now we just have to watch everything play out from here and wait for the characters to catch up to what we, the audience, have known since damn near the beginning of the movie. The movie, honestly, is just a really long fetch quest, but it's not really about anything in particular. The whole thing is just, go chase MacGuffin down to bring back to save X person. That's basically the whole movie. And I think that's what kind of made it feel empty for me, because I was surprised that they didn't try to go more for the pulling at the heartstrings than what they did. But they didn't do a whole lot with it. Like, it doesn't have like a center. There is no like overarching theme to the movie. I mean, I guess if you want to try and argue that, I guess you could say finding your place in the world, maybe accepting loss and learning to move on. But I mean, that's really reaching to even be saying that, because they don't emphasize those things a lot in the movie. It's brought up here and there, but it's not a focus at all. And poor Michael Sheen. I mean, they got him playing just like the most comical ass villain. Like, it is sad. He's got like the twirled mustache and everything. He squeals like a bitch. He's like hopelessly inept. He's like obsessed with Dolittle. He is like legit the tie your girlfriend up on the train tracks, mustache twirling, meet me outside the saloon at, noon kind of villain. Like, it's ridiculous. And I feel so bad for him, because Michael Sheen is a good actor. And I'm like, how did y'all convince him to come be in this bullshit? And then Antonio Banderas is also a secondary antagonist to a degree. And he isn't in the film for very long at all, but he should have been the main antagonist. Like, he was much more interesting and much more depth and texture to his character. Michael Sheen was so one note and like one dimensional. It was just like, okay, he's the villain. He's the bad guy. And that's all he is. Which, again, I've never read the book, so maybe that's what it's like. And this is the story that they're telling. So, so be it. It is what it is. I just didn't care for him as a villain. I would have liked Antonio Banderas as the main villain throughout the whole movie and just did it like that. I think we'd have had much. I think the most powerful character interaction moments in the movie are between Dolittle and Antonio Banderas' character. So, yeah, there is that. I mean, the scene with the dragon was kind of cool. Even though it, like most things in the movie, devolved into toilet humor by the end of it, which I love me a good shit joke. Don't get me wrong. This one went on a bit longer than what I would have liked. Honestly, I don't understand everyone's hate for this movie. Did I like it? Not really. But did I hate it? Not at all. I've seen people already putting Dolittle on their worst of 2020 list. And look, I don't begrudge anybody for not liking the movie. Like, it's not very good. I totally understand. But the hate for this, I feel, is a bit extreme. But to each his own. I will say, at the end of the day, I know Robert was probably feeling tired of playing the same character. He's an actor, and he needs to express himself creatively. I understand. But, I mean, come on, man. You stop being part of the MCU, and this is your first project. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Take from that what you will. I will give you my rating for the movie, and please don't, crucify me over this, because I know I kind of have the dissenting opinion right now, because it seems like everybody else hates this fucking thing. But at the end of the day, yeah, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, and I didn't hate it. So we have a 5-tier rating system here. It goes really fucking liked it, meh, hated it, and really fucking hated it. So for Dolittle, I'm going to go meh. It's right in the middle, cut and dry. I mean, I had no strong emotions about it in one way or the other. I think I got all my rage about it out when I saw the trailer, and I had kind of resigned to the fact that it's probably going to be a pretty mediocre movie, and that's pretty much what it was. It was fun in parts. Kids will like it. It's fairly short. Kids deserve better. I mean, look at, movies like Inside Out and Up and The Incredibles and stuff like that. Like, you can make a good kids film and it not be, strictly aimed at 3-year-olds. But, hey, that's what they decided to make. I mean, the movie's going to make its money regardless of what we think. So, it is what it is. But, hey, I would love to know what you thought. Have you seen Dolittle? Did you love the movie? Did you hate the movie? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I need to have my eyes cut out my head? Like, I just want to know your thoughts. Tell me how you feel. But with that is going to be it for the show. I know it's rather short compared to most of our other installments, but when you're riding solo, this is what you get. But I hope that you guys had a good time. And if you did, remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, though. So go ahead and take your little fingers and hit that like, subscribe, give us a rating, a review, follow us, and all that shit. And if you've got any questions you want us to answer on the show, any comments, criticisms, or you just want to say hi, you can always email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. We are on Facebook, Reddit, Instagram. Just search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.